I'd have to notice there are patterns that make the difference in the quality of a person's life, in their spirit, in their heart, in their body, in their emotions, in their business, in their careers. And hopefully, if you keep growing and you're trying to serve something more than yourself, you're inspired. I really believe life supports whatever supports more of life. God, the universe, everyone has different beliefs. Mine personally is God, but supports something that supports more. In other words, if you get a desire, desire, right? Latin means of the Father. So if you have a desire, you already have the ability to fulfill it. But certain desires will meet your needs and you're part of life, and so you get insights for that. I don't know, there was a different level. I need to serve something even more. Then I'm trying to serve community. I'm not talking about virtue signaling. I'm talking about what you know in your soul. When you know you're trying to serve something more than yourself, you get insights that are indescribable. And they've come to me at all the right times when I've needed to be able to serve people over decades. And so, because I think everybody's journey is the hero's journey. If you look at all the stories, the hero's journey. What happens? Your life is a certain way, and maybe you're somewhat comfortable or bored, and then something comes along and challenges you. You get diagnosed with a tumor in your brain. I've had that experience. You lose a mother or father or all of them, which I've buried them all. I've gone through that experience. You get somebody who, you thought is your friend who betrays you. You have a financial issue. There's so many things coming, but that challenge comes for a purpose. And the purpose is, I believe, the universe and God calling you to go on the journey, on an adventure, to discover who you really are, to find the deeper parts of yourself so you have something more to share and contribute to people. And so when that call comes, if you are willing to go on the journey, if you don't sit there and just give up or complain or come up with excuses, then you have to step into the unknown. So when you go on a journey like that and you put yourself on the line where you can't afford to fail, you don't usually. Usually the human psyche and spirit finds a way, especially if it's trying to serve something bigger. If there's something inside of you that you don't like, a behavior, an emotion, a thought, it's not you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's a pattern. And we can develop patterns and do them so often that we think we're our patterns. It's just a habit of thinking, habit of motion. You don't overeat every moment. You overeat when you're bored or when you're pissed off or when you're worried, right? It's a pattern. And you can change any pattern when you stop thinking there's something wrong with you. But also, I've learned that anybody that's great at anything, you're an actor, I understand you do music, I didn't know that before, comedian, podcast, you are great at patterns or you wouldn't be successful. If somebody's a great musician, they know certain patterns. Now, how do you get there? 3 skills. First skill you gotta do is you gotta recognize patterns, because otherwise things seem random and it's overwhelming. The world seems random, like, oh my God, it's the worst time to be alive. It's such bullshit. So once you recognize a pattern, you can run a business. Once you recognize a pattern, you can know what's going on in the stock market. You can be a better investor. Once you recognize a pattern, you know what to do with your body for more energy. Recognize a pattern, you can decipher how to make a relationship work. But the first skill is recognizing. The second skill is learning to use it. And when you look at somebody who's masterful, pick any subject, in that area, in that domain, they know the best patterns, they know how to use it. Now you start, let's say you're gonna play the piano, by playing somebody else's patterns because they figured it out.
Yeah.
And then as you do that long enough, there gets to a point where you learn how to use it, and then you get to the third stage where you create your own patterns.
Yeah.
And that's when you become kind of the master of your particular domain, whatever it is you're really good at that, if you do it long enough and strong enough. So once I understood that, I started doing that with businesses. I realized business is a pattern. There's certain things that make them go, certain things that make, and so then I started building them. I started one business and I was overwhelmed, and then 2, and I did things that I really just thought changed the quality of people's lives, businesses I felt passionate about. And now I've got 114 companies who do $7 billion in business, and I couldn't even run one before. And it's all just because I know those patterns. So what I do is teach people those patterns. Help them understand the patterns that control them so they can change. Help them understand the patterns of something they want to master, their body, their emotion, their business. And once you know them, it's like you know the pathway to get from where you are to where you want to be. Then it just comes down to doing the hard work, because it's hard work. There's no way around the hard work part. But it's fun when you get momentum. And it's easier. It's like easier to succeed when you have momentum than it is to fail. And so that's been my life's work. But I want you to know it wasn't a straight line. There's so many ups and downs along the way. If you see a straight line in nature, it wasn't made by God, it was made by a human, right? Because real living things go up and down. Now, if they keep growing, the up and down leads to something greater. And fortunately, I've not given up and pursued that and been guided and had, a lot of grace in my life along with the hard work.
What's your thoughts on faith, and how does a man build his faith?
You don't have to build it, you have to understand you were born with it. I'm not talking about your religion, I'm talking about your faith. Without faith, we don't function, but faith is a muscle. And the more you use a muscle, the stronger it gets.
Amen.
Faith unused does not grow, it shrinks. Courage unused does not grow, it shrinks. Passion unexpressed does not grow, it shrinks. So, but if you use more of it and you rely on it more, you discover it's there. We oversimplify everything in a complex world, and we live in the world today that if we've been on a plane, we think we can fly it. We're not all equal in our skills. We can become equal in our skills if you want to put the time and the energy and the effort into it, but we live in a world now where it's all about instantaneous fulfillment, and it's not real. It's not really fulfillment, it's positioning, and positioning makes you feel empty in the end. You don't feel strong, you feel fearful. That's what this whole imposter syndrome thing is people like, trying to be something that they're not. Look, you can build yourself into anything you want to become. Our Creator gave us this thing called choice. And you can make new choices and you can take a new direction right now today. You don't like your life? Change it. You don't like your business? Change it. You don't like your relationship? Change you first, because if you just change it, you'll have the same problem again because you're part of it.
Amen.
Right? You don't like your finances? Change it. Anybody can change it as long as you stop making up stories and you stop coming up with all the excuses because you're just fearful. We're all fearful. Everybody has fear. That's why faith is so powerful. Faith is the only thing that can get you over the fear. You're scared, but you do it anyway. That's what courage is. It doesn't take courage if you're not scared. Yeah. And most of the muscles that we develop, spiritual muscles, emotional muscles, faith, courage, determination, all those, they come because you did it not because you felt like it. You did it because you knew it was going to serve something more than you, or you knew it was going to serve you as well. Faith without works is dead too. We got to do our part, right?
That's the hard work.
I have faith, but they aren't doing anything. So it's like hope. Hope is a good first step, but hope is not enough, right? You got to get yourself in action. You got to do something. You got to learn. You got to grow. You got to, what some people call fail, I call learning. You got to learn. Right? And every time you don't succeed and you learn something, you get better if you keep moving forward. I have a process where I show people the two emotions that mess up your relationships, that mess up your life, that'll mess up your career, your business, is fear and anger, right? Yeah. Those two extremes. And when you're grateful, as simplistic as that sounds, I mean, when I say grateful, I don't mean intellectually grateful. I mean, you really feel it. And I have a process I do every day for that I teach people to do for 10 minutes. And when you're really grateful, you can't be grateful and fearful simultaneously. You can't be angry and grateful simultaneously. So that's the power of that one emotion is really powerful to rid or get it out of your body. And what you did perfectly was you caught yourself and broke the pattern. It was a habit, and you caught yourself, said, no, I'm gonna do this, and you did 3 new good things. Broke it, did again, 3 new things. Now you had strong enough reasons to do it because yours is, I gotta do this for God. Not everybody has that belief system, but they might do it for their child. They might do it for their husband or wife. Most of us, I think one of the most beautiful things about human beings, what makes us gorgeous as beings, is that we'll do more for others than we'll even do for ourselves. And if somebody you love, somebody you care about, whether it be your kid, whether it be somebody else, and so sometimes that's what's needed. But you need leverage, you had leverage, something that makes change a must. And then you have to rewire yourself. When you catch yourself and rewire yourself, yes, you're doing something behaviorally, but you're also making biochemical changes when you do it. And if you do it over and over again, it just becomes the new habit, the new way of being, and then you don't have to work at it, right? You just have a new quality of life.